Hello and welcome to the Secretariat. You're watching Global Capsule, the weekly roundup of world news. Sushma, let's start with India's announcement, India's decision to open up visas for Chinese citizens. Now, of course, we saw Mr. Jaishankar visiting China. It is expected Mr. Modi will be visiting China later. How do you read the situation? Do you think this is going to mark a beginning of resetting of ties between the two countries?
It certainly is a landmark decision, Mahua, in the sense that, the ties between India and China, as everyone knows, have been rather tense right since 2020 for the last 5 years, ever since the border clash at Galwan. So, all the policies, all the relationships between the two countries have been marked by some amount of chill. Now, the visa issue, I think that's a big development. The fact that we're going to allow visas for Chinese citizens.
Because this was one of their major pain points. I mean, I think they brought it up several times with India that, visas need to be sort of eased.
Yes, and I think India has also kept that as one of the bargaining chips, because India has its own issues with China. For instance, the fact that they're creating bureaucratic hurdles to import of rare earths and or bureaucratic hurdles to import of fertilizers. So, the Chinese have not actually banned import of these items to India, but they have created hurdles. And therefore, this is, as I said, some kind of bargaining chip which India has kept. And now I think as, ties have really thawed, and therefore India has agreed to this. And at the same time, there's an expectation that these other issues regarding rare earth elements being allowed to come to India, the fertilizers issue, there are many things that we are importing from China which were held up. So I think this is probably going to be the beginning of a major relaxation in the frostiness of ties between India and China. And I think we should welcome it.
And also considering the uncertainty on US tariffs, Trump policies, do you think there's a renewed thrust on Asian regionalism, China and India coming closer, not just China and India, but, BRICS, SCO, because there's a genuine need perhaps to sort of bond on in terms of economic engagements, to sort of make do with the, to undo the US impact.
Yes, I quite agree with you. There is, I think, a feeling now that, a unipolar world is not something that the South, the global South certainly is comfortable with. And it is time for multipolarity to begin. So this, as you pointed out, BRICS, SCO, the idea that there should be an alternative pole in the world is certainly gaining ground. This does not mean that India's security relationship with the US is going to be diluted, because we had a meeting of the Quad and that
Yes.
went off very well, unusually compared to all the other issues between India and the US. So that went off very well. But as far as economic issues are concerned, as far as trade issues are concerned, I think, countries in Asia, whether it is China, whether it is India, other countries are thinking that, we need to form a kind of a united front and focus on what is best for our own economic development. And so definitely I think that this reset in ties between India and China does prefigure probably a movement towards greater closeness of not only Asian countries, but certainly the global South.
Right. And also Indian businesses, because we do import a lot of raw materials from China. So it'll also sort of bring much here to Indian businesses, Indian industry, because we are fairly dependent on China for a lot of. Absolutely.
And also on visas, you are very right, Amawa, it's going to bring cheer to Indian industry. Indian industry was also very keen on business visas for Chinese technicians, Chinese experts, whether it is for Foxconn and Apple's production, or for many other manufacturing units that have been set up here, maybe the electric vehicle manufacturers. So there was a need stated by Indian industry that we need Chinese experts to come here, and there was a lot of problem in getting business visas. So hopefully that will also be sorted out.
So we need to wait and watch how things pan out basically between
Absolutely.
India and China. Sushma, now coming to Mr. Modi's visit to Maldives. He's going to be present for their Independence Day celebration. I mean, from India out campaign to India in. It's like a huge change in foreign policy shift from the Maldives government. How do you read this situation?
I think you've said it quite correctly. There has been a 360-degree shift in the relations between India and the Maldives. I mean, you know the time when the present president of the Maldives had said many things which were anti-India. He traveled to China and he spoke about his warmth with China. And it was at that time we even had a campaign in this country. You know, people stopped going for tourism to Maldives, and they said, okay, we'll go to Lakshadweep. So there was all that furor over that. And now you find that the Indian Prime Minister is not only going to the Maldives, he's going to be their guest at their Republic Day, I mean Independence Day. So that's a really big honor being given to the Indian Prime Minister. So,
and considering Maldives is considered a pro-China country at this point, I mean,
yes, the current government is considered to be pro-China. I think one of the things that has happened in the Maldives is the recognition of simply the geography. You know, the Maldives is close to India. The Maldives does rely on India for any crisis, and I must say that although India has been blamed for taking a big brother approach, India has always taken a very compassionate approach to problems facing Maldives. So whenever they have been in a crisis, India has stepped in with help, whether it is in terms of food or humanitarian assistance, financial assistance. India has stepped forward, even if relations have not been so good. There's a recognition that after all, Maldives is a really tiny country, and India should take a magnanimous approach. And I think probably this has, has made an impact on the Maldives government, the new Maldives government, recognizing that it's all very well to be pro-China, but China is a little far away.
And also I was talking to an expert, and the person said basically Maldivians, people out there, citizens, are still pro-India. It's not that the sentiment there sort of has changed, or they're more pro-China, anti-India kind of a thing.
Yes, definitely. And you're absolutely right. During the time when there was this anti-India comments by the top level of the Maldives government, people in the Maldives, very many of them made statements saying that no, we do not appreciate these kind of comments, and India has always been there for us. And there's a long-term relationship between Maldivians and Indians. Indians go there as tourists. Maldivians come here for whatever they need, generally, whether it is education or other issues. So the Maldivians have seen India being an ally, a close and good friend. I think definitely that would have been at the back of the mind of this present government, that they have to face elections, and they need the goodwill of their own people.
And also during the COVID time, I think number of Indian tourists who traveled to Maldives was one of the highest, and that sort of boosted their tourism industry, which is very crucial for them and their economy. So that also had a significant role. I mean, Indians that way, even the people to people connect did matter.
Yes, definitely. And and the reduction in tourism at the time of this anti-Indian kind of situation also had an impact slarly. Though, of course, Maldives, we must remember, is an international tourism destination.
Right.
You have people from all over the world coming, but a large portion of their economy, tourism economy, is dependent on Indian tourism. So there is there's a relationship which, as I say, you cannot wish away geography.
Absolutely. Neighbors are neighbors.
Neighbors are neighbors, yes.
Sushma, coming to Mr. Modi's visit to the UK, of course, the FTA, the free trade agreement, the dynamics, the contours had already been discussed, decided, but the official inking of the agreement, that is going to boost Indian businesses, the sentiments of Indian businesses, Indian policymakers. Again, in this world when there's a lot of uncertainty, uh, what is your take on this?
Well, I think there's no doubt about it that the relationship between India and the UK is a very special one. I mean, going back to colonial times, though the British ruled India for this for several hundred years, but the fact is that the relationship since then has been very close and friendly for several reasons. First of all, we have so many British companies and so much of British investment in this country. Though Britain may not figure it's not the top investor in this country, but it's the sixth largest investor in India. Then you have a very large Indian diaspora. We have so many people coming, and let's not forget the fact that a person of Indian origin was their prime minister
Yes,
also, Rishi
absolutely.
Sunak. So
Large number of Indian students going to
and
the
large
UK.
number of Indian students. And of course, we share a language, this English language that the British have given us. We are very comfortable with it. We are comfortable with their literature. So there's a lot of comfort in dealing with the UK. Now, coming to the FTA itself, one of the things about dealing directly with the UK instead of UK as part of the European Union is that they are not have not been as bureaucratic as the European Union was and is even now. So they tend to be more flexible. So therefore, they have been far more flexible as far as tariffs are concerned. So now you have a situation where 90% of Indian goods going into the UK are going to be on zero tariffs. And this is going to bring, and other products are going to be levied very low tariffs. So this is going to give a great boost to ready-made clothing, to leather, to
And of course,
agriculture
Scotch
goods,
whiskey, wine.
and then on the way back, of course, we have lower tariffs, and I think it's a rational move to reduce tariffs on things like Scotch whiskey. After all, we don't make Scotch whiskey here. We do make whiskey, but it's our whiskey, Indian whiskey, which is rated very high in global circles. We make good gins also. But Scotch whiskey is something very different, very specific to Scotland. And I think it's in the fitness of things that we lower tariffs for them. I don't think we are in competition on that score. Of course, the concern was over automobiles and components, but even that, Mahua is largely in the area of luxury automobiles. So I don't think that our automobile industry, which is doing very well, a very healthy automobile industry, I don't think it's going to be affected. I think this is a win-win for both countries.
And with that, we come to the close of this episode. Thank you for watching. See you next week.